So recently and instantly I turned into an old man. It was my birthday and I turned 40 years old. Now normally I would celebrate this with friends and family and throw a huge party. But seeing the current events are still happening in the world and it's 2022, I decided I'm going to buy some expensive shit for myself. So I bought an arcade machine, a Neo Geo MVSX. And in this video I'm going to show you my honest opinion and a review on its arcade cabinet. Next to buying the cabinet itself, which is a bar top styled cabinet, I also bought the official riser. Both came in two separate packages. While the bar top is plug and play, from the moment you open the box, the riser needs to be put together manually. If you ever bought something from IKEA, then this will be the simplest construction you have ever done. And if you said yes for ever buying stuff at IKEA, then you'll know that their instruction manuals are very simple and clear. This manual for the riser, however, is not. I chose to ignore the manual and do this with my own insight. I finished the square base to place the MVSX itself on top of it. In order to keep it in place, it needs to be screwed and attached to the riser, so it doesn't fall off while gaming. It's time to put the final piece of plywood of the riser in place. I chose to do this manually, as using a power drill might overdo it when using too much force, with the risk of splitting the wooden panels. To keep the clean look, the manufacturer Unico has supplied these red plastic dots to cover up the screw holes. These fucking suck, and you can't just pop these in here. So I opted to use my trusty rubber hammer to apply some gentle force. As I'm showing here, the cabinet itself is a bit wobbly, which is logic, because the riser itself is hollow on the inside. The only thing that has some weight to it is the bar top unit, weighing around 17 kilograms. So the next day I popped out those red dots again, opened up the front panel, and opted to apply some weight on the inside. You know, like an official arcade cabinet from 30 years ago. I did choose to use a power drill this time, but made sure I used little force. I placed in a towel on the inside floor, so the panel doesn't sustain damage. I tried 2 heavy garden tiles, but that wasn't enough. I went downstairs and got 2 more. And with 4 garden tiles, the cabinet was feeling like an old school cabinet. And thus, I closed it up once more and voila, no more wobbling. Now if you've ever been close up to an arcade machine, you'd notice that these things are huge. This MVSX is not. It's a lot smaller than regular arcade machines, and even smaller than the original Neo Geo cabinet. But hey, it also doesn't have a heavy CRT display inside and a huge motherboard with an oversized cartridge. It's just a crisp LCD screen and inside a simple PCB. I am not going to show you how this thing looks on the inside. There are other YouTubers who did this already, and I just want to tell you my honest opinion on the product itself. Some people have complained, mainly on Amazon, that the finishing looks of this thing is of poor quality. I contest that. These people must have had a bad batch, because mine was brand new and had protective foil all over the place. There's no shit quality here. It's top notch when it comes to its looks, build quality and finish. When you pop on the machine on the back with a simple round switch, the marquee pops on. Now I have some minor complaint about the print quality of the marquee. It's not in the highest resolution, as these game covers are a bit grainy up close. Still not a deal breaker, but I had to mention it. Many people have complained about the buttons, and man, these people are spot on. These buttons are fucking terrible. If you are used to playing on arcade cabinets with HAP or Sanwa buttons, then these will feel like a joke. There's a big however though. See, you can compare these to a rubber dome keyboard and a mechanical one for reference. They aren't the worst out there, but they do get worse if you tap on them for a long period. Playing on this cabinet for half an hour feels like a strain on your fingers, and they are mushy. The stick feels alright. I have absolutely no problems with that. Maybe I'll exchange these buttons in the near future for HAP ones. If you aren't a frequent arcade player, then I guess you won't notice anything about these buttons. On the back you'll find a power port and a USB entrance. I have a USB stick inserted here, and I'll show you why later on. Now I have watched a lot of videos on the MVSX when it first came out, and no one ever mentioned the following. When you boot up the machine you are greeted with this screen. This is the operating system. In my opinion, this is one of the worst operating systems when it comes to UI design I have seen in a long time. There are 50 games installed on here, with the latter being fighting games, and like 15 other Neo Geo classic ones. When you want to go to a specific title, good luck testing that patience. It's slow, and you can't just search on alphabetical order. No, you have to go all the way left and all the way right. If you are on the far left or far right, it doesn't automatically flip back to the first title. This fucking sucks, and I wish they had someone proof test this user interface out before releasing it to the market. There are some minimal settings here, the usual graphical settings, and some informational rollovers. Look at this spelling and how these words are placed. It's super sloppy. Alas, these are just software mistakes that can and should be corrected in an update, seeing this cabinet has version 1 installed. I love this volume rocker right here. It's a simple way of adjusting the volume for the cabinet. And this thing goes loud. I mean intensely loud. What's weird is that when you recite either on the left or right side of the cabinet, you will hear clear mono sound. Only when you are in the dead center of the cabinet, you get to hear stereo sound. This might be annoying when playing with 2 people, as both will hear mono sounds and music. Speaking of which, this cabinet is best suited for 1 player. Yes, there are 2 sticks, and you can enjoy playing it with 2 players, but due to it not being very wide, it gets cramped, so you have to both stand to the side to give each other some space while playing. Anyway, let's get to the real point. The games. Seeing that I'm not a fighting game fan at all, I skip to the other categories of Neo Geo games in an instant. I hear you thinking, why did you even buy this machine? Well, that's a good question. Enter the reason why I had that USB stick in there in the first place. Some friendly folks made a program called Hylostick X, and before opting to buy this MVSX, I already did my research. Hylostick X lets you update the original OS that's on the unit, and replace the startup screen with the option to either choose between the original MVSX menu or the Hylostick X1. The update lets you boot up Hylostick X and gives this machine the upgrade it needs. It opens 150 plus more games from the Neo Geo catalog, and these contain a lot more of the classics that I like. Before asking, this is at your own risk. I am not going to tell you where I got all this stuff. That's what Google is for. Hylostick X is great when it works. When you boot up the machine, it will work half of the time. I think that has something to do with my USB stick being 3.1 speed. Maybe it's too fast, or the program is just too buggy. I have to reset the unit a couple of times to get Hylostick X working, but when it does, oh boy, this is the actual power of the Neo Geo catalog and the value of the MVSX. You get 150 plus arcade classics with beat 'em ups, puzzle games and shoot 'em ups, and I prefer to boot up Hylostick all the time instead of the original MVSX OS. Hylostick has the same scrolling and user interface issue as the MVSX menu. You still have to scroll from left to right, and that's a pain in the ass. Another thing is that if you are of average height, standing in front of this cabinet is a strain to your neck. The top marquee will block a bit of the screen, so you have to lower yourself. I prefer sitting on a bar stool. So in conclusion, is the MVSX something you should buy? Well, if you want one, you need to shell out a price of around $600 to get the bar top and the riser. I paid around $420, and to be honest, in its vanilla state, it's an okay machine. However, if you choose to install Hylostick X, which is super easy once you know how, it's definitely worth your hard-earned cash. I want to thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, I would highly appreciate a like, as it helps this channel grow. And if you enjoyed watching it, I upload retro game videos all the time, so subscribe to keep notified, and I'll see you on the next video.